So how do we get there? There are a few things that we've already talked about, but ultimately, at the onset, identify the opportunity and understand what you want to achieve. And don't just think small. Don't just think of putting a form online to hire, although that's fantastic. There are a lot of clients that are doing that. But are there other things that you can do above and beyond that? Where can you take business process automation? How much can you do? So think about that and quantify and qualify the opportunity that you're trying to attack. Next. Again, separate the concepts of form entry and approvals, the business process components, from the automation tool that you're using. But ultimately, at the end of the day, once you figure out what you're trying to do, what your whiteboarding or your blue sky looks like, make sure that you've got a solution that can help you deploy that, help you develop and deploy that. Next. Step 3, seek opportunities to simplify with the front end by limiting valid values, leveraging setup tables, defaulting, and edits. So that's refining the process and also making the system work for you. So in the case of PeopleSoft, taking advantage of system edits and adding custom edits to allow the system to make more decisions for you, do more of that thinking behind the scenes so that your users that aren't necessarily familiar with your HR processes or your finance processes or your student processes can enter the data that they know, and the results still end up at the end of the day. You get the results that you need and the process can be accomplished. And prototype early and often. So this shouldn't be a stagnant process. This shouldn't necessarily be, okay, we've got everything that we need to know about this process, now we're going to go build it. There are better ways to do that. I mean, it's great to, and you need to understand everything that you're trying to accomplish, and you need to understand what all your requirements are. But let's make it iterative. Let's do some of this. Let's stand it up. Let's see if we got it right. Is this what you're looking for? Well, yeah, but let's add this, or let's shift this over here. Let's make the solution do that. And then at the end of the day, after all of this iteration, then hopefully you've got a solution that does exactly what you're looking for and exactly what you expected. And I think that's it. I'm going to hand it off to Paul now. He's going to talk a little bit about the architecture behind eForms, what allows us to do what we do, and then he's going to walk through the demonstrations of the solutions.
Okay, thank you, Scott. I think Scott does a great job of being animated and excited about something that could be inherently boring if you've been here for 3 days already. But the Grand Ole Opry tried to kidnap him last night. We fought them off. Wanted him to MC tonight's show. Told him he's got to get this done first. So, a couple of thoughts, just again, extending on what Scott's talked about trying to accomplish a lot with one form. There's absolutely nothing wrong with building eForms that accomplish one thing on the back end. That's just fine, especially if you're doing them over and over and over and over again. If you have if you have 20,000 personnel actions a month, as some of our clients do, it's great to have each one of those transactions not have to be typed in on the back end, enter itself into PeopleSoft. And we do that, and that's the bulk of what we've done. And it saves our clients hundreds of thousands of man hours. But if you can accomplish even more, that's again where we're trying to think big, and where some of our clients have come up with some fantastic applications for eForms. So this is a typical eForm architecture. We've got users that interact with PeopleSoft, and this is delivered PeopleSoft. This is the bolt-on layer of PeopleSoft. Basically, we're still using PeopleSoft's technology. We're still using PeopleSoft pages. We're still using PeopleSoft logins and security and all that PeopleSoft hardware and people tools, but it's completely custom. So it doesn't get hit by upgrades. Anything that we build out here, when PeopleSoft delivers new stuff, it doesn't touch it. Oop, back. There we go. Up, forward. There we go. So then, in that bolt-on space, we want to pass the work from user to user, present it to them in simple, easy to interact with pages, and then when present just the information we need. Then when we're done, we want to have it automatically flow into the cumbersome, they're always cumbersome, delivered entry pages. And that's really our goal. Now, how do we do that? How do we take that from a one-to-one, one transaction on the front end, one on the back end, to a one-to-many? Well, this is kind of a zoom in of how we typically do eForms. We've got the eForms process here, and then we interact. This is a little pain in the techies, all of you who don't want to know this. It's okay, think about something else. Go to your quiet place, your havoc place. You can tune back in about 2 slides. So we have, we publish a web service call. That's what we call it, the service-oriented architecture. So we publish a web service call that integrates with a component interface that enters the information in PeopleSoft. You can think about this component interface, this combination, the component interface and the web service, like a user and a computer screen in PeopleSoft. So when you have someone typing into PeopleSoft, they're like the web service, they know what to type. The screen that they're typing it into is what's designed to receive it and to then stick it into the database. So this is the automated version of that. This is the automated user. This is the automated screen that it's being plugged into. So if we expand that and say, okay, we want to get a lot done at one time. So here's our simple form that the actual user interacted with and entered information on it. And then there are 2 ways that we can do this. One is that we have one little robot person in there, one web service, and that one robot person just goes page after page after page. And just, blah, 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 blah. We're going to just, I'm going to do this, 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 and do it 500 times or 5,000 times and get it all done. So that's one approach that we can use. And we just recycle through this process until we've done all the work. And oftentimes, as you'll see in some of these situations, it does the work that people used to have to do and it would have taken sometimes a really long time to accomplish. The other technical approach is to have kind of a manager person where you pass off the form to this person and he says, okay, we've got 500 things that need to get done. I'm going to create 500 robot people to actually get the work done. We're going to give each of them one thing to do and we'll get it all done just as wide and as fast as possible. We've done it both ways. And we've got clients in the room and the solutions we're going to show. Some of them work the previous way, and some of them work this way. This can handle even more throughput because you don't end up with this web service getting tired and having to take a break and filing a union claim and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's the approach that we're using, the architecture that we're using underneath GT eForms in order to accomplish what we're going to finally show you, which are 3 different forms that accomplish this goal. Now, City of Boston, let's see, do we have some City of Boston people here? Yes, there we go. Now, the City of Boston, as we went in and talked with them and as we set out the scope for the project, it was primarily based around automating personnel action forms initially. But the CIO there, who has a great vision for automation, said, is there anything that we can do to help Boston Public Schools? They've got so much paper, so much workload that they've got to work through. Is there anything we can do? So we looked and we tried to come up with some ways that we could help to offload some of their work. And that's what we're going to show you here. Northern Arizona University, we're going to show you their reports to eForm. And that was also driven by a unique and pressing business need. And a certain unnamed private university who we haven't gotten permission to talk about yet, but may be represented in this room, and I won't look in their direction. They wanted to accomplish some mass changes in merit increases that, again, consumed a huge amount of time at once a year when it became time to give merit increases. Wanted to get that done without all of the data entry on the back end. So those are the 3 that we're going to look at quickly.